Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of my terrible flying and slash piloting antics. Again, I'm going to attempt to go from Richmond to the Outer Banks, well, close to it. I don't know if Manios considered the Outer Banks. It's fairly close.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of my
this is kind of
flying and slash piloting antics.
Sorry, my phone was talking at the same time. I'm still fairly new to streaming on PC, so I hope you're patient with me. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Also, I can't hear myself with noise canceling headphones, so sometimes I'm not sure if I say things clearly. So if you hear me repeating a lot, that's why. If you're wondering why I'm explaining or over explaining, that's just part of the experience of this channel. So yeah, so we're in the US if you haven't guessed already. So we're going from Richmond to North Carolina. Technically, you know, this is like the Outer Banks. Manio's pretty close, been there, been to the Outer Banks, but you know, this is the largest airport that I could go to. I want plenty of runway here. I have not quite perfected the landing. I'm using medium simulation settings, so it's not quite there at simulation. It's not even close to simulation level. Let's be honest. As I said in other videos, it's like having like one training wheel on versus two. So as long as you don't do anything incredibly crazy, like, you should be able to manage. Of course, I've crashed several times. I'm using live weather. I don't know if that's a mistake or not. We'll find out. If I'm quiet, it's just that I'm in the zone. Feel free to comment. If I miss your comment, it's just because I haven't looked it down, especially if I'm fairly close to the ground. Like, I don't want all the stuff cluttering the screen. I'm not streaming with two monitors either right now, so I'm using my phone as a second screen, so I have to look down. Sometimes it's not always an option. It's not like the PlayStation where it just reads it out to me. I'm sure there's all these like things I can get to help with that, but right now this is the best I can do. I'm sure you're tired of looking at this map. Let's get started. Hopefully the computer won't chug too much. I'm not sure why it does it, because it really doesn't matter what graphical settings it's on, so I'm thinking it's a bandwidth issue. Speaking of which, I forgot to clear the data cache, so hopefully it'll be okay, because we didn't go incredibly that far. We weren't flying a jet or anything and going like half across the world, so I think we should be alright.
Richmond Tower Daughter 84 at runway 20 ready for departure, south departure.
I think a good idea with this game is just to let it kind of warm up a little bit like an old car. Or my computer is really like an old car, I guess. But you know, this isn't like a huge Twitch-based game, especially if you're not playing in simulation mode, but it is a bitch when you start getting issues when you're trying to land. Alright, I think we're ready. We have a nice, lovely little cockpit, pretty detailed. I'm using high settings. I had ultra in the video. I can see a slight difference, you know. I might put it back on ultra textures. I just wanted to see if it made a difference. It's really minimal, but it didn't really affect performance that much either compared to how it's running now, so I don't know. I'll leave it in this mode. I don't usually like flying this mode just because, I don't know. I don't like the windows. I feel like I should raise the seat, but again, I didn't bind it. And I have like a short keyboard. I need to get a longer one with more buttons on it, which I have in the other room. I just didn't think of getting it. So let's get started. I'm sure you're tired of hearing me talk. And I'm going to periodically turn the microphone off because it's so hot. Even though I have the AC on, I have all these fans going on, and it's kind of probably adding to the plane's atmosphere, but you know, I'm trying to be polite here. So I'll keep an eye on the messages. If I have anything interesting to say, which probably won't be the case, I'll say it, but let's get started. So we're going to start off the acceleration. I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but as far as I know, these buttons like just make silly noises for entertainment. purposes, and you really only have like as many buttons as this controller and keyboard to worry about. So yeah, take the brake off, and let's hope for the best. Got quite a ways to go, plenty of time to make several mistakes. The plane should start lifting on its own, and then I'm going to tilt back a little bit. Watch, I'm saying this so confidently, something's going to go wrong. Knowing my luck, that's what usually happens. The biggest mistake I've made is to retract the flap too early.
$8 for leaving my airspace frequency change approved. Stall.
Dude, I just listened to the damn thing. It told me to retract my flap too early. That's why it started stalling. We need to get some more altitude. Well, that was embarrassing. That's a bad sign of things to come. So I'm using live data, so those are actually people playing as well, if you're curious about that sort of thing. Alright, I think we're safe to take the flap down now.
United 1476 Richmond Tower. Altimeter 29.78, wind 200 at 12. Cleared ILS runway 16 approach.
Talk back to this radio real quick. It's like, Roger, you almost stalled, crashed into your airport. Luckily I made it, you're alive, so let's celebrate. What are you drinking? Frequency.
Richmond Tower, Dover 84 frequency change.
This is becoming my favorite game just to chill. Like, I haven't had the best time lately, and this game has just been hitting the spot. Although, I don't know if you would consider this a game. It's just like when the world's overwhelming and everything seems like insurmountable. Like just playing this game, you can see everything. That once seemed so large, it's just so small now and peaceful. I kind of like that. Although the radio's kind of ruining the moment. Unfortunately, there's a lot of farmland and stuff like that around here, so it's not going to be the most interesting flight. Maybe if I leave the video like on an angle that looks like a good thumbnail, it'll gain traffic. It would be funny to like experiment and look at like the numbers raise and lower based on like the camera angle. So to be fair, this plane is pretty low maintenance. I'm getting a feel for all the planes because obviously just like vehicles, they all feel unique and have a unique way of handling. But I'm growing to like this plane a lot. What plane is it? Whatever it said in the menu. It's like a DAR or something. I'm probably pronouncing that horribly. And then I don't remember what the numbers are. I'm sure it'll be in the title if you're curious. I think this still might be the James River.
Generic 7 Bravo Lima contact. Atomic departure on 126.4.
Good day. Might be the Potomac. They say Potomac, but people here usually say Potomac.
Going to 126 for generic 7 Bravo Lima.
I'm trying to get lower so it's more interesting to watch. Maybe I'll go in the clouds later. But I feel like the clouds look really good from far away, but then when you get up close to them, just like in a real plane, it just looks like you're flying through fog. So there's some cool times with clouds, like especially during twilight hours. It reminds me of something from like Ghostbusters or like The Never-Ending Story, where you have those really moody, psychedelically colored clouds. It kind of really looks like that. Reminds me of like those 80s special effects. That looks really cool, but since I'm using live weather and live time, this is what it currently looks like. So we're not going to get that twilight effect, unfortunately, if that's what you're waiting for. I could, of course, change the lighting. I don't know if I can do it in the menu since I'm using, well, in the menu while playing the game, since I'm using live weather. I don't really want to mess anything up. Because I believe that would also change like the wind and everything. The last thing I want is my plane to go out of control. Alright. It's probably not like a big risk, but you know. I don't want to embarrass myself but too much online. Every time I fly like any game, I think it was Star Fox 64 where they're like, do a barrel roll. I don't even know how good that impression was because I just heard the high part of it. But I believe that there's some part where they yell at you to do a barrel roll because that always sticks in my mind. So when you drive from Richmond to North Carolina to the Outer Banks, it's mostly peanut fields. And then when you get closer to North Carolina, there's a lot of good peach stands there. Oh, those peaches are amazing. They usually have like smoothies and stuff like that. There are a lot of fruit and vegetable stands, but you'll see like some stands that'll just exclusively have peaches, but they're to die for. But they're so ripe, you have to eat them like the day you get them, or they'll be like rotten fairly quickly. When I went to Florida, the strawberries were like that. The strawberries, when I was in, it was in the Florida Keys. I think we were in Key Largo. But anyway, there was a strawberry stand. Well, it was a fruit stand that had strawberries. Let me be more specific. Not that it matters. They had like a little, you'll see this a lot. And if you're from Florida, you already know about it. It's like, tell me something I don't know. Shut the F up. You're not from Florida. I know. Neither. It seems like most of the people that live there, when I visited there, there's like a lot of older people there that aren't from Florida that act like they were born and raised, and they like yell at you like you're invading their territory, even though they've only lived there for maybe like 3 years to retire or whatever. The pastel colors they typically wear usually tip you off. But yeah. Sorry, I'm looking down at the ground. But yeah, like in Florida, like every little ditch they have like near the store has like a alligator and stuff like that. But they had a fruit stand near the grocery store right beside the ditch that had like a couple of alligators chilling in like 2 inches of water, maybe a few cigarettes, some cans of beer, a couple of condoms, who knows what was in there, beside hepatitis C and 2 alligators. But anyway, yeah, the fruit stand, they had amazing fruit, but we literally like woke up the next morning and it was already going bad. It was just at that sweet spot, I guess, that's very limited. Looks like the wind's blowing my plane all around here. This commentary is gonna make people want to watch this video. There's always the mute button. You can turn on a fan and pretend it sounds like a plane. I haven't really talked in a lot of my videos lately. There's been so much on my mind. It's just hard to come up with like conversation just on my own, especially in talking to yourself. It's so easier just to answer direct questions sometimes. Like when you're in a mood and shit's not going the way you want it to, like sometimes the last thing you want to think about is shit to talk about. You just want to get lost in a game. So I apologize those days that I'm really quiet. But I figured some people like quiet videos too. I certainly do. I definitely don't want to watch a video of somebody going, oh my gosh, and I'm trying to sleep. And I definitely love YouTube to like fall asleep too. That's part of the reason why I started making non-commentary videos. Kind of wanted the ultimate sleep playlist. I've never seen the plane wobble this much before, but I've only flown it twice, so what is that saying? But I rarely use live weather, because usually I'm playing this at nighttime, and where I want to go, it's night. And that's one thing about this game, at nighttime it's almost like pitch black. I wish they could find a way to light the level better. Maybe that's something they'll do. Maybe even if it's not realistic, maybe an optional thing. Add some sort of glow or something. Maybe they'll do that in Flight Sim 2024. I'm sure somebody's modded this. I was tempted to, they had like a free DeLorean, but I don't know, it looks stupid the way like it flew. It flew like a plane. I was like, wouldn't it fly more like a helicopter? And they have like a drone in this game too. You'd think it would fly more like that. They actually have an official free Halo vehicle that I have, but I don't use it. It looks cool, but A, I'm not even sure how it works, and B, I don't know, it just seems really out of place. But they do have a lot of cool mods for free for like X-Wings, Star Trek vehicles, you name it. It'd be cool to have a Blade Runner spinner. But a lot of those are almost like skins because they'll control like a plane, so they don't really act how they do in like a movie. Oh, we're going to a storm. Because there's like that tropical storm. I'm sure you saw it on the map, so that might explain some of the turbulence. Here, it's like hell on earth. Like, it's almost 100 degrees and humid. Like, I went to go walk the dog, and I immediately wanted to go back to the house. It's like when you breathe and it doesn't even feel like you're taking in air because it's like hot and humid. It's just gross. I've never been to the West Coast, so I've never experienced what people would refer to as that dry heat. I'm very curious. I heard it's more tolerable. I would like to be the judge of that. One of these days. I've been on most of the East Coast though. Would like to expand that. Instead of just talking about it all the time, I'd like to do something about it. But of course, you know, shit's not free. I have a bad tendency to spend shit on video games when I have it, but you know, as an end goal, not an end goal, I would like to travel more fairly soon. There's just some obstacles I'd like to get over, but the world's so big and I've seen so little of it, and I'm getting older. I just would really like to see more, and I think that's something that really appeals to me about this game, because you can travel the whole world, like whenever you want, like any time of day you want. That's so cool to me, and it's like, it's not like an approximation, it's literally satellite data. I remember like just knowing that it's so weird when you see a trailer and you're excited about a game and you think you're gonna love it, and then you play it and it's even better than you thought it would be, even though it's doing what I thought it would be. I didn't know how cool it would actually feel. I knew I would like it, but I didn't know I would love it. So here I am, not finishing Final Fantasy 16. I started the Outer Worlds, which I've been really enjoying. I want to play Control. If you haven't checked out Trust Steph's channel, right now I think the biggest channel is Trust Steph Strategy, Trust Steph Video on Demand, or VOD, I think that's how he spelled it for his channel. And Trust Steph's Retro Weekend, like, he did Control, and it reminded me how much I love that game. So I want to play it, but with ray tracing on, so it'll be like 30. And I wanted to get back into No Man's Sky since they updated it. So there's a lot of stuff I want to play, but I keep getting sucked into this game because I love it so much. And they're coming out with Flight Sim 2024, and I hope I'll be able to run it. But damn it, if I have to use the service to stream it just to see what it's like, I will. Like, I played the streaming service to the Xbox One X of this game, the console version, and it was surprisingly responsive, and the picture clarity was decent. I mean, it looked a lot softer than this, but it actually worked fairly well. I was impressed, and I felt like I got a decent experience. I do feel like this doesn't look as impressive because you don't really see like the super sharp detail. I mean, you will if you get closer, but the little ripples in the water and stuff like that, I don't know if you're seeing it through stream, but I'm seeing it fairly clearly on my monitor. This monitor is referred to as a 3K monitor. It's only 16 inches, so I'm not sure how much better 4K would look. It looks good enough to me, and that's all that matters to me anyway. Obviously that wouldn't matter to you, like how my monitor looked to me. Thanks, Captain Obvious, for clearing that out. You're welcome. Ground level so we can see what's going on down here. Check out the little people. I had no idea that there's this, like, I don't know where you call this, forest or just straight up trees, but I'm surprised they haven't like torn any of this down, because they've done a lot of that where I live. The fact that this looks almost untouched is incredible to me. You think there'd be like Walmarts and shit down here. That reminds me, when I was a little kid, I used to eat broccoli and pretend I was a giant eating trees. That made me feel pretty badass. I wonder how big this body of water is actually. It looks like a pond, but it's probably a pretty decent sized lake. I'm trying to compare it to the size of the trees. Even though I think the trees are pretty much procedurally generated over what it thinks is a tree texture. I mean, it pulls it off very well though. This is a long flight to get the landing wrong. I really hope I pull this off. I really hope my computer doesn't stutter during this time. Will say, I see it happen sometimes even on like people who make these videos as like their primary videos, and they have quite a bit of subs, so maybe it's the game itself. I don't know, or maybe the specific hardware, because it doesn't seem to be like a graphics related issue. It seems like a streaming issue or something. Because the graphical settings don't really change that much as far as like frame rate and stuff like that. It's like the game kind of gets slow and then fixes itself, and then sometimes it never happens, and it can be in like a desolate area or a super popular area. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it, but that's neither here nor there. Just if it happens, that's what's going on. It's just all farmland. It's kind of unique when you drive to the outer banks, because it does feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere, and then the beach just suddenly appears. It's kind of cool. You just see all these billboards almost like teasing you. Almost there, almost there. That's like when you go to south of the border to get fireworks, which is in the border of South Carolina, where the border between South Carolina and North Carolina. But yeah, before you get there, there's probably like 100 signs for it feels like 100 miles telling you about the place that has fireworks. So as a kid, it's just torturing you. And that's all I have to say like that. And every time I wanted to ride the sombrero umbrella at south of the border, it was always shut down. That was mildly disappointing. So we should be approaching the beach soon, I would hope. The airport's right near Manio. I used to have an aunt that lived there. He's dead now, but if you're familiar with the Andy Griffith show, that's kind of where he retired and lived, at least when we went to go visit my aunt. I heard he wasn't very social and grouchy. Which is definitely not the persona he had on his show. But I kind of expected it. I don't think I've ever seen a full episode of Matlock. That's some useless trivia for you. Well, I thought we were going into a storm, but, you know, clouds look nice. And my planes, as I said that, I saw the backside get pushed away. I was like, oh, my plane's getting stable. Not so much. I was like, the wind's easing up. You wish. Sometimes you have those people who are like, don't say it'll come true. I was like, I wish I had that power. And I'd be saying like positive shit about myself all the time, so it would come true. Farmland. But like I said, there's some good fruit stands in this area if you ever do ride through any of this. Looks like a little park of some type. And this just looks like a microprocessor zoomed in really close. That must be a pretty impressive courthouse to be a landmark. There's the landmark button. It's the bumper in A. Well, I'm not really concerned about that. I feel like the landmark is probably that building, but you know, or the courthouse. But maybe they do it in the field. I don't know. Often called the airport too soon, so I'm gonna wait till I get a bit closer. This is what I mean when you're like out in the middle of nowhere and you start seeing water. It gets really exciting as a kid. But when you go to Outer Banks, like you saw that little strip, you have to go over on a bridge. It's a bit further, so it's kind of a tease. Like if you were just going to the beach, I guess you would chill here, but I think it's more popular now. But when I was a kid, like you would go to the Outer Banks versus Virginia Beach because it was less crowded. But the last few times I went to the Outer Banks, it was almost like Virginia Beach, where like you turn around and you're like in somebody's bubble, so there's a lot of people there. I guess Myrtle Beach would be the next place to go, but I have a feeling that would be worse. I haven't been to the beach in a long time. I wonder if it would have that magic that it once had when I was a kid. I don't know. I used to go fishing with my dad a lot, trying to like get close and doing stuff together with him, you know, like fishing, surf fishing, kayaking. Well, when we were in kayaking, we usually fish and shark fish. As I've gotten older, I don't know, it kind of bothers me a little bit. It kind of feels cool, especially if you got to throw a lot of the fish back if they're not the right size and stuff like that. It feels kind of unnecessary. I like the adventure aspect, but I don't know. I'm kind of not into fishing as much, and I think that kind of burned me out of going to the beach a little bit. But you know, if that wasn't involved, I'd like to try it again. Maybe that'll be part of the trials. I mean the travel. Sorry, I can't hear myself. I think I said trials, like I'm gonna go try. I did say trials, like I was, because that's kind of, I guess, what it is, like trying to see if I enjoy going to the beach if I take fishing out of the equation. I guess when you see my channel and see how nerdy I am, it's probably hard to imagine someone like me knows how to like control a boat. It's gone kayaking, not only like Eastern Shores, Virginia Beach, Florida Everglades. I feel like I give off a very nerdy persona, and that is a very accurate part of my personality, but not the only part. But I'm sure it's really weird to hear someone like me that's done something like that. I think some people that know me in real life, if they didn't know me during that time, they would probably find that hard to believe. When I think about it, I find it hard to believe. Alright, so I'm gonna pause this flight here so we can see what the hell number this airport is. In real life, you can't pause a plane if you're curious. So, KMQI. I have slight dyslexia, so this list is really hard. One of the reasons why I pause it, because it always updates, and by the time I'm done reading everything, it updates itself.
1,100 feet inbound to land runway 23.
Alright. Let's hope for the best. We're not quite there yet, so of course it's gonna freeze. Just give it a second. The whole trip it didn't do this. I knew it was too good to be true. Let it just work itself out. Thank God we're not in the landing process. Okay. We should start seeing the little grid. If not, I'll just call them up again. I need to find a way to raise these seats. Maybe that's what the problem is, because this view is not great for trying to pilot anything. I'm like trying to figure out what's the best way to land on the runway. Whether it's third person or what, but I don't know. But yeah, like the game randomly does that where it stalls and then it just resolves itself. It almost feels like it's like dumping data and like pulling more data in. I don't know, I'm not an expert. I didn't program the game, nor have I ever programmed a game. I figured I would start seeing the little thing I gotta start going into. I guess you would call it a flight path, I don't know. There we go. Now I just gotta figure out where it begins. I do wish they showed this little pathway a little bit farther away. It seems to just kind of appear out of nowhere once you get to a certain point. I wish the draw distance was a little bit better with that at least.
Doher 84 is on final runway 23 to land.
That was scary.
Kilo Mike Quebec indicated traffic. Generic November 60560 is on base runway 23. Kilo Mike Quebec indicated traffic. Generic November 60560 is on base runway 23. 6056 Yankee, flying the missed approach.
Not the smoothest landing, but I'm not mad about it. We made it there, so with all that slowdown, I don't know what was going on with that, but luckily it resolved itself. We made it to the other side, so thank you for everyone that watched. Sorry for the slowdown. It happens sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all. It's unpredictable, but I'm glad that we made it in one piece, and thus another flight sim adventure has been made by yours truly. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're all doing